Did you hear that? There was another one. I think somebody's shooting at me. And I think by the time this video gets done, there's going to be a couple people shooting at me. Hey, let's get into it. Well, hello again, Internet. Welcome back to the channel. Yeah, we got a pretty controversial one for you today. So, you know what? Before we even get into it, we're going to give out our featured product, or not give it out, but we're going to let you know what our featured product is today. And that's going to be my GoPro Hero 8 Black. And, you know, I'll fuss about the batteries on this quite a bit and whatnot, but I got to tell you, man, it has done a really good job, but I've not had any real problems with it. My biggest issue with it at all is I've got to change the batteries a lot. Well, I take 6 batteries with me, and I've been fussing about that lately because what I used to do is I'd reach into my pocket, pull out a good battery and put it in, and take out the bad battery and put it in my other pocket. Now that I'm using this bag in the back, I don't have that luxury. I can't reach back and get them. But hey, that's going to be the first thing in our description on our Amazon affiliates down there. And if anybody would like to take a better look at it, if you'd click through that link, we would certainly appreciate it. It helps out the channel. And yeah, I found out some folks are using that, and I want you to know I really appreciate it. Michelle and I both appreciate it. But hey, let's get back into it. We're out here today, Michelle and I both. Michelle, chime in there a little bit.
What do you want me to chime in about?
Oh, anything that I can hear your pretty voice.
That was good.
You know, I'm thinking we went through and did all this stuff to get the double mic'd up and had that working pretty well. And I got an earbud that I can plug in and hear her talking. And then we spoke with Santa, and they sent us these helmets and all of that stuff. We don't have to worry about it a whole lot because I think the sound is coming through here well enough that yeah, we're just going to keep using the sound straight from the helmets. I think I've got that set up to where that works pretty good. It doesn't give much feedback or anything. The test that we've done, we ended up with quite a little bit of feedback on the I know right where we are at here. We are, Michelle, we're right out Walnut Creek Amphitheater.
Okay.
So just so you're aware, this is where I came the other week, if I'm not mistaken. Well, I'm not seeing a trail breaking off, so I might be mistaken. Hey, yeah, this is why I want that Komoot with them pictures being taken, so I can bookmark all these places. I know exactly where we're at, because I thought I did back there, but I didn't. But anyway, let's get into what we're going to talk about today. E-bikes on the greenways, cycleways. What should be allowed, what should not be allowed. And I'm going to really want to hear what you guys' opinion is. I'm almost thinking I'm going to be kind of set up like I think the fellow's name is Michael Knowles or Charlie Kirk. They'll set up a table and have some political statement and say, change my mind. And I'm going to kind of take the side a little bit of e-bikes should not be allowed on the greenways, just for debating purposes here. And so what I did was I hunted up the definition of a bicycle. These are bicycle lanes. And a bicycle is a two-wheeled vehicle with one wheel in front of the other. It's connected by a frame. It is propelled by pedals, and it has a steering wheel attached to the front wheel. And I believe that pretty much wraps up the definition. Strictly adhering to that definition, well, that takes all trikes and takes them out of the picture. It takes all hub drives with a throttle out of the picture because that's no longer propelled by the pedals. An argument could be made that all the mid drives with a throttle are now taken out of the picture because they are not propelled via pedals. What say ye to that? Now, straight up, do I think that's really what should happen? No. But let me tell you how the scenario goes. Michelle, you want to chime in with any of your thoughts on this, or you want to wait a little bit on that?
I'll wait a few minutes.
You're going to wait a few minutes, okay.
Or seconds.
Okay, there's a big part of me. Oh man, look at these little whoop-de-doo jumps. Yeah.
Stop doing that.
Why?
Because I've seen what you do.
Oh man, I could jump that ditch.
That's great. Going in for the ER. Watch this. I think I can do that.
But you know, there's a huge part of me that I'm all in favor of. The worst thing you can hear is I'm from the government and I'm here to help, and that's what regulations are.
Safe.
Yeah, or keep you safe. You know, Ronald Reagan had said that a long time ago. That's the worst words you could hear. And there's a lot of me that thinks that. But what else can we do about it? Well, you know, I've heard the argument made that, hey, you just place a speed limit on the greenways. And that's great. And there's a good argument to be made there, because you don't stop a Lamborghini from going through a school zone just because it can go way too fast. It's allowed to drive there because there's a speed limit. So, come on, Blaine, what's wrong with that? Well, how many of your tax dollars do we want to go to the Greenway police? Because who's going to enforce these things? That's the counter argument to that. Who in the world can be able to enforce these things? So that's not necessarily perfection. Well, we can let it go like the wild, wild west. And I'm going to tell you, I looked up some e-bikes. What do you think the fastest pedal e-bike built has been? Well, you've had enough time to figure it out. I'm going to tell you now. It is called the HPC Revolution XX. Top speed on this bike is 74 miles an hour. Yes, 74 miles per hour, not kilometers per hour, miles per hour. Can you see somebody coming down through here at 74 miles an hour? Yeah, you ain't gonna see them for long. They're gonna be gone. But you know, these people, they made 20 bicycles. They cost $20,000 a piece. If you got the money, you got the fastest bike in the world. Now, we talk about our 750 watt e-bikes. Well, this is a 10,000 watt e-bike. I just find that incredible. Now, $20,000, that's kind of hard to swallow. So what you can get is you can get the Revolution HPX, and it only cost a base price of $13,000 at a 55 mile an hour speed. 55 mile an hour speed. You can get it up to 65 miles an hour, but that's going to cost you a few more options. There's some nice graffiti down through here, Michelle.
Oh yeah? I'll have to take a look.
Yeah. What else is there? Well, there's a Stealth B52, and it's named right because it has a top speed of 50 miles an hour. Wonder if we can bump the balloon. Pew!
Yeah, not so much.
Okay. And then there's a Delfast top 3.0. Now, get this. That thing is shipped as a Class 2 e-bike with a top speed of 20 miles an hour. But you can unlock it and get 50 miles an hour out of it. You know, I thought my ECOTRIC was good because it was shipped at top speed of 20 miles an hour, and I can unlock that, and I can get about 25. If I got a little wind in my back or a little slight downgrade, I can get up 28 miles an hour, but I'm having a pedal to do that. You know, that's a 500 watt, I believe it is. But yeah, so the technology, if you're going to do that, you might as well let electric motorcycles on these greenways. You know, that would be an argument that could be made right there. So, where do we cross that line at? That's always the question. You know, Europe has already figured out where that line is. It's at 250 watts. And so, and I want to say it's 20 kilometers per hour. It might be 22 kilometers per hour, but they have got it, you know, they know exactly what they want, and people in Europe, I'm not going to say they're, quote, suffering from it, but they do not have the type of bikes that we can get, and the ones that do, they are illegal to be on the roads or the cycleways. over there. So what say we do in this country here? What's your solution to this possible problem? Michelle, would you like to chime in a little bit here after I set that all up? This is a pretty nice greenway here.
Yep. Well, I mean, when you start making rules, somebody, and sometimes everybody, is going to suffer a lot or a little. And you really can't trust people to self-regulate, because let's face it.
There's always the watch this, huh?
but that's the truth of it.
Yeah, yeah.
And one person starts doing it, the other ones are like, the ones that are doing self-regulating are like, well, screw it. If they're not going to do it, then I'm not going to do it either. And then we just end up with a whole mess.
The Wild West.
Yeah. And so I think it's somewhere in the middle, but the problem is what do we call middle? So I don't really have a big opinion, but I don't think that excessive speeds should really be on the greenways. If you're wanting to go faster than 20 or 25 miles an hour, I don't think you should be on the greenways. I think you should be on the road. So, because the greenways are not just for cyclists, they're for hikers and joggers and parents and families. And so, you know, you're talking about one class of people.
Michelle, I don't mean to interrupt you. We're going to try and take this little greenway back and connect on. This one's going to end.
Yeah, it ain't going nowhere.
So we're going to come right up to this one here.
Okay.
I wasn't completely sure if I could get all the way through on that. Sorry, I did not mean to interrupt you there. See how long I can just kind of stand here.
Okay, so which way?
No longer than that. This way here.
Which way are we going?
Up here.
So where was I?
I was talking about speed. You know, this excessive speed doesn't have a place.
I don't believe that excessive speed has a place on the greenways. Now, if you're talking about a wooded trail or something, or, you know, that might be a little bit different if they can classify it as strictly a faster biking trail, but that's almost not doable because there's just not enough of them. So I guess I'm going to have to stick with my original thing and say the excessive speeds just don't have a place on greenways and trail systems. You know, there's a factor in there that needs to be respected.
Mm-hmm.
So for all, not just for one classification of people or entitled.
And it's not just the excessively fast bikes. There are some being sold now. The wired bikes are more than 28 miles an hour. So where do we put that speed? At 28, or do we put it at 20? You know, I don't have all the answers, but I know this much: as time goes on, there's going to be some problems if we don't come up with something. And when the problems creep up, it is going to make the whole situation worse for everybody. So while I am not for a lot of regulations, I know if things go the way of the Wild West, well, it's not going to take long before they have to really over-regulate again. So that's my take on it. Now, what kind of ideas? I'm seeing a lot of construction work down here on this one, Michelle. So we may have to, we might have to be a little bit of rule breaking here.
As we're sitting here talking about.
Yeah, the regulations.
Well, looks like we are out of luck.
Well, all right, So where did we leave off with all the little interruptions right there? Is I think what we made it up to the point of, Michelle, was that we were talking about the solutions. And you know, if you get too stringent of a solution, nobody wants that. But if you get too lax on a solution, then you're going to run into problems, because what's going to happen is it's not people that cause accidents that's going to get sued. It's going to be communities and cities that get sued, and then they're going to over-regulate to say, oh, we got to make sure that never happens again. So you got to be careful what little bit you wish for on there. He's going to wave us through. He's waving us through. So, you know, I think the idea of the Class 1, Class 2, and Class 3 is probably going to be pretty legit. I think they could kind of post that and let the communities come up with their own solutions. You know, in National Forest, they still consider an e-bike a motorized vehicle, and so they're not allowed on any trail designated for non-motorized vehicles. But they have also put into place, along with that, that the local land management can recategorize their trails to make them to where certain motorized vehicles can get on them. And that was actually what I thought a pretty good solution to that. That's letting it be more of a local issue than a federal issue. And I was pretty good with that. But hey, what say you down there? Michelle, do you have anything to add in on this?
As far as what?
As far as solutions.
I mean, any solution that's made, somebody's going to lose.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so the solution has to probably be somewhere in the middle. I have my own personal opinion, which is you have to remember, e-bikes are just one classification of folk who use the greenways. You've got regular bikers, you have joggers, you have hikers, you have moms with strollers. And so, you know, those folks are all going to be much slower than, say, any e-bike. And so I suspect that when any rules start getting mandated, those folks are going to take precedence over everybody else. So I think somewhere in the middle is going to be where it is. The question is, where's the middle? So I personally don't think that people need to be going more than 20 or so miles an hour on a greenway. So,
okay.
But that's just my opinion. Now, how you enforce that, that's a good Pandora's box right there.
Okay, so there you go. But, you know, after what you just mentioned there, how you enforce that, you know, I do like the idea that the National Forest have come up with. Leave it up to local management to do that. So, only real problem I have with that is now you're going to have to know what a particular community's guidelines are. So now we're talking a whole other conversation. But hey, we've had enough of this conversation right here. Let's go ahead and wrap it up. So this is Southern E-Biking and
this is Southern E-Biking. Sorry. Still not accustomed to this. Southern E-Biking.
Hey, we're telling you, put down in the comments what your solution is, what your thoughts are on it. And until next time, Internet, stay safe, God bless, and keep the wheels rolling. Once again, we're out.